I will open this session of the Board of Revision, and pending the room arrangements being settled, we will recess this until we can make sure that those procedures are all followed and we all have a spot in order to carry on. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to call this session of the Board of Revision to order. We begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory in the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. With me on the panel today are Robert Faluk and Linda Nesbitt. Our secretary today is Cara Balshaw, and the assessor is Candace Wright. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions, and the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony, followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. And I ask that you either turn off your phones or put them on silent.
Excuse me for interrupting. Oh, that's something.
Speaking of phones. If necessary to refer to information that is on a phone, you may do so with the permission of the chair.
You'll swear in? Affirm. Please state your name. Candace Wright. Do you affirm the evidence you present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes, I do. Thank you. And you'll swear in or affirm today? Please state your name. And do you swear the evidence you present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. All right. Please state your name.
First answer.
And do you swear the evidence you present today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, you can just clarify for me. Like these two, we have this one.
Oh, sorry. No, we do have them both. Well, that's what it looks like. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't know where your copy is.
So we will begin then with 847 Knowles Avenue. Candace, when you are ready, could you please provide us with the file number, etc., and then your information.
The subject property is roll number 0400-725-7630. This is 847 Knowles Avenue. This is a vacant piece of land in Springfield North. Has R1L zoning. The lot size is 6,929 square feet, and it has a commercial adjacent property influence. It faces a strip mall with Tim Hortons parking lot. The 2020 assessment for this property is $149,000, which is $21.50 per square foot. I have 4 comparable properties here that are all vacant residential zone lots on Knowles Avenue. The lot size ranges from 7,149 square feet to 8,776 square feet. These sales occurred in 2017 and March of 2018. The sale price ranges from $140,000 to $160,000. The time-adjusted sale price ranges from $143,400 to $164,600. And the time-adjusted price per square foot ranges from $16.34 to $22.92. So based on these comparable sales, the 2020 assessment of the subject property is within the range of comparable sale price and price per square foot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have questions about the information that has just been provided by the assessor?
I guess the first question has to do with the fact that we recently had gone through an assessment process on the property. What was the base value that you were using for that property as you were going forward to do the adjustment? Was it the value that we had already had it assessed at the last time we came to the hearing, or was it the incorrect value that we had it corrected from?
When we do a reassessment, we reassess every 2 years, and we actually don't use the previous value at all. We look at newer, more recent sales data. So for example, for 2020, we were looking at a market value as of April 1st, 2018. So we had to look at sales that occurred as close to that date as possible, but not after that date. So we base it on comparable sales, and we don't actually consider the previous assessment.
Okay. And this is maybe a similar question, but just for some clarification. So given that it was assessed and the agreed market value was 107 in April of 2018, why would we go through the process of redoing comparables on it? I mean, we're within a year of its assessed value.
Well, for the 2018 assessment, that would be based on market value as of April 1st, 2016. So it's legislated that we reassess every property in Winnipeg every 2 years. So we go through this cycle.
I understand that they're reassessed every 2 years, but I guess I'm having a hard time understanding. We appealed for, when we were here in 2018, and now it's reassessed at 38% higher than what we agreed to in 2018. That just doesn't sound reasonable to me.
Yeah, as I said, it's just based on new sales that occurred after, because last time the reference date was April 1st, 2016, and this time there were more recent sales, so that's what we base our numbers on.
Okay. And then did you have a chance to actually go out to that location and look at those lots, or was it all done by a map kind of stuff?
Yeah, desktop review, Google Maps,
Okay.
aerial views.
Okay.
So and from the comparables, then, which one would you consider to be most comparable to the final ones?
There are different factors to consider. I know comparable 3 and 4 are obviously located closer to the subject, and I should just say I did include a map of the comparables and then also an aerial view of the properties. Comparables 1 and 2 are closer in size. They do have, it's a different type of commercial influence. They actually face an apartment building, but there is some commercial influence on comparables 1 and 2. So based on size and that factor, I believe 1 and 2 are likely the most comparable to the subject property.
1 and 2, but comparable 1 and 2 are on a paved street, and they actually have, what do you call the drainage?
Well, the storm sewers and stuff, right? But, okay. But those were what you were comparing, like using as, in your mind, were the more direct comparables out of the 4?
Like I said, there are different factors to consider. In this case, I don't know if there's, 1 and 2 are closest with influences and size, but then I realized that 3 and 4 are further down those, closer to where your properties are located.
Right.
So that's why we choose, there's no one perfect sale that's exactly like the
Sure.
subject property, so we look at a range of
Okay.
Any other questions?
Would you agree that there's potentially more factors affecting these properties, so they're down? There's only one piece of property between them and Highway 59 and some of the other adjacent. So this has only the commercial adjacent influence, whereas I'd say there's also influence from Highway 59 and some of the other commercial construction around there, the big interchange that just got built, that sort of stuff. So it's not listed as an influence on the property, and I think that it probably should be, but
I mean, it would definitely affect these properties. I believe the reason it's not listed as an influence is the amount of space between, but that may be something that we may need to review in the office.
Yeah, because I can understand there's a map space between it, but there's no visibility space between it, nor is there a sound barrier or any of those sorts of things there. So, okay. So I think that's it. Questions?
Mr. Fluke, any questions?
The assessor, no.
Annette?
I do. So, just given the location of this property, I see that there is no traffic influence on the property. And it is very close to the perimeter and very close to La Jolie.
Yeah.
Should there be a traffic influence on this property too?
And yeah, like I said, that may be something we may need to review going forward, is traffic levels change, and we're consistently updating our data, so.
But the traffic levels probably on 59 in the perimeter really haven't changed a whole ton.
Yeah.
There would be a noise influence for sure, and I'm just, well, finding the comparables on Knowles is great. I see that there would be quite a difference, I don't know how to put this, would there be quite a difference between, even just the desirability of a property that's, in the middle of the residential area backing onto green space versus facing a Tim's really close to Lage on the interchange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would likely affect value, and that was one of the reasons I mentioned comparables 1 and 2, is they are along Gateway, which does have some traffic. I mean, I'm aware that it's nowhere near Lage in the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
There just is some slight traffic influence, and they do face an apartment complex.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Mark, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm looking at the map here, and the subject properties are both 6,929 square feet,
Yes.
and I'm assuming that it used to be a larger property and got split in half, is that correct? Into two properties?
I believe, and sure.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure. So, yes, they were subdivided off of 855 Knowles.
So it originally was a larger residential lot, correct? And then the
Correct.
2 vacant lots were split off.
That's correct.
So when you would add both of those, you'd be almost close to 14,000 square feet. Those two together?
Yeah, whatever they are, 69, 29,
29,
so,
yeah.
okay.
So in effect, the 620 is pretty close to the size of 69 to 71. Comparable to in size?
Yeah, comparable 1 and 2 are the closest. They're fairly similar. Comparable 1 is 7,150 square feet, and comparable 2 is 7,149 square feet. So they're the closest in size.
And that lot sold for 160,000. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
I'd like to hear what the opponent says. Thanks.
The properties along Knowles Avenue where the subject is and comps 3 and 4, are the uses on that side of the street all the same?
These are all residential properties.
They're all residential properties?
And I believe the larger parcel behind, and it joins onto Knowles, I believe, in 2 places. You can see there that is just currently vacant land that has agricultural zoning.
That's ag zone.
Yeah, but all of the smaller lots are residential lots.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you. Could we have your evidence, please?
Sure. So if it's okay, we're speaking to 847 and 851 Knowles at the same time. They're the same size lot, the same, all the same influences. They're right next to each other. So
We'll combine.
We can take the time to do it separately, or if you do think that
Will you have any different information to provide?
My evidence was exactly the same for the two properties, so that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, good, thank you. You've got the package information that we had in front of us. Basically, we're looking at these properties, and so in terms of consideration when we're looking at these properties, there's currently like no driveways on the property. There's no improvements on those lots as of yet, so there's no services, there's no driveways, there's no hydro, that sort of thing. At some point, hydro has come down the street and has actually anchored their facilities into the middle, right in the middle of those properties. So there's now guy wires in the middle of the properties. I'm not sure how that would affect value, but it can increase the value. The frontage on these lots, in comparison to the comparables, is quite a bit smaller. So these lots are only 45 feet wide. So it's going to limit the style and the size of the home that you might be able to build on that lot, certainly in comparison to the building styles now with the cab overs and those sorts of styles. The street for these properties is not paved, and nor does it have storm sewers, those sorts of things. So it's got a hard top and ditches along the side. A big influence here, the property is sort of abnormally close to those commercial ventures. So there's directly across the front view of those lots is a commercial strip mall, which includes Tim Hortons, and that generates pretty high periodic traffic. So mornings and evenings, those sorts of things, traffic coming through, and the ensuing noises. And also, this property is located adjacent to Highway 59, which generates constant traffic noise and vibrations from heavy vehicles. And the perimeter bypass cloverleaf expansion has only made this worse due to increasing traffic volume. So there's actually more traffic moving through there now because the ease of which, at least that's our opinion, that it's moving through there faster because it's easier for traffic to get through there. So if you're going to choose a route, you're going to choose the one where traffic's moving, right? So. And then the deep ditches on Knowles and then the adjacent surface road. So those are the influences on those particular pieces of property. As we were going through, so within the sales book, there was no, so the resources available to us to look at the properties. In the sales book, there isn't anything on vacant land and sales of vacant land. So we were only able to review the comparables this week. I guess we got the information in relation to the properties, so we're just going through this now. So we didn't have a lot of information prior to putting this together this week, but after looking at the comparables that were provided by the assessor, our belief is that actually 827 Knowles is probably the most likely comparison because it's within a few houses of where we are currently talking about the property, so it's about six properties away.
Really, two.
Or sorry,
This one and this one.
sorry, I'm looking at the map.
Two.
Yeah, a couple of properties away.
2 months over.
So it should have some similar comparatives in that fashion, in terms of being a single infill lot and sort of the same location. However, we do feel that the negative value by being actually directly across from that commercial property and with no buffer to Highway 59, that there's actually some more negative value associated to those properties. So looking at 827 as a comparable, that lot sold for $140,000, which was a value of $15.95 per square foot. And given that 827 Knowles has a larger frontage, 57 feet, and does not have the direct negative property influences that 851 and 47 have, we believe a value of $15.70 per square foot would be more reasonable. And then using $15.70 per square foot, the proposed assessed value would be $108.75, and at at 149, the proposed assessment would be 2150. So in April of 2018, these lots were appealed, and the agreed value, as we said, was determined at 107.4. And this proposed assessment of 149 would be, a 38% increase in value of those properties. We don't believe that's realistic. We again say that the negative influences are actually increasing on those properties versus decreasing. Lots 847 and 851 were subdivided from 855 knolls, and the agreed upon increase for 855 knolls for 2020 was 1.5%, and using a 1.5% increase, the proposed assessed value would be 109.11. So with these facts in mind, we propose that the assessed value for 847 and 851 knolls be 109 for the 2020 assessment year. So in relation to that, we've got some information here that shows the view from the front of these lots, which is on the next page, which is directly looking at.
No.
Should be in the package that we have.
Oh, this one.
There we go. So that's the view from the front of the lots, and then the next page after that is the view from the back of the lots, which is, as we were talking about earlier, which is the influence of the actual interchange and the hydro guy wires in the middle of the lot. So like from the back view of this, we're directly looking at the perimeter interchange. And then the next images again, it's just showing for reference the proximity of the Highway 59 interchange, which, given some of the stuff the city's built, this is sort of a larger interchange than normal. And then the strip mall images, which is really just the views of the Tim Hortons and the other commercial infrastructure that's in that area. And then from 827 knolls, so the next page again is a map showing the reference properties, so 847 and 851, as well as 827. Again, listing what it sold for and its value per square foot. And I think from a proximity point of view, you can see that it's relatively close to the lots we're talking about, but there are buffers between it and the commercial properties in 59 that 847 and 851 don't have. But just showing that, part of the reason why we're saying that that's a closer reference. And then the last page is the actual views from 827. So the view of the front, residential property, including newer development on the other side of the tree line, and a view of the back, basically the agricultural land and some treescaping. So, that's in there as justification why we would say that potentially 847 and 851 have some slightly higher negative influences than 827, which is why we came up with 1570 as the value per square foot to assign to the properties to generate the assessed value. And then
Have they speak to one of those comments?
right, and then as we said, so in the city's assessment, and it's come up before, but I'll state it again, in terms of influences beyond commercial adjacent, I think there's other influences on this property. Very high traffic on Highway 59. That's a highway versus a street. And then there's the interchange from the perimeter highway, which again is a highway versus a street, which is so for comps 1 and 2, even though they're on a gateway, which would be a busier road, it's not a highway. Also, comps 1 and 2, we say they were on a paved road with storm sewers, but they're also adjacent to newer residential development. So in terms of what you might decide when you're building a home, whether you're building in a residential neighborhood with newer style housing, they would sort of fit into that piece that's directly adjacent to them, the other side behind. And I think. And then again, just that the comps, the size of the lots, the width of the lots is considerably different from these at 45, and just in terms of the type of home housing that you'd be able to build on it, in terms of whether shotgun style housing appeals to a larger audience or not. I would say that it's no, that you're looking for, if you were going to be selling them, you'd be looking at a smaller market for what was there. So I think that's it.
Okay. Questions?
So when you subdivided these two lots off of the residential property, what is your intention with these pieces of land?
I'm just going to hold on to them. I'm not intending to sell them.
Okay. So you've never listed them?
Never.
So never tried to sell them?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Fallouk, questions?
I do. Just so I get a clear picture here. In your comparison, it says to the subject property, commercial adjacent. So does that mean that there's something commercial next to these properties here?
Robert?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I look at these two, there's one to the right, and then there seems to be a space, and then there's a...
Yeah, so commercial adjacent is across the street as opposed, so it's adjacent to the property across the front of the property, not across the side of the property. So the adjacent commercial, which
So
the city...
So it's over here. Oh, it's over here.
Yeah, so just the...
Oh, okay, now, so this is the front, yes.
Yeah, so this is the front. So this is the large commercial enterprise property there, so the Tim Hortons and that sort of stuff.
And then and the piece of property that's to the left, that's just vacant?
It's a residential home.
There's a home there.
There is a home there.
Okay, so the only thing you could build on this property is residential?
I think
It's zoned residential.
So it's actually...
Right. Okay. All right, thank you.
Ms. Nesbitt?
I'm interested in these hydro guy wires.
Nice, aren't they?
So, they're on both of the properties, just
They're in the middle.
They're right in the middle.
Can they do that?
They did it, so
Did they?
I guess they can if they did it.
Is there an agreement with Hydro?
No.
They just
They just
pointed
did it.
them down.
Yeah.
Can I ask the assessor a question about these guide wires?
Go ahead.
Do you have any information on that guide wire?
I don't have any information about that.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're relatively large, anchoring
I see that.
fair-sized structure, because there's three of them coming down.
I see that picture, right. Okay, I do have another one. So the roadway in front of you, it's not paved,
No,
but it is
maybe it's
Like
oiled
a-
and compacted. I
like
don't
an
know what
asphalt
the,
sort of thing?
I don't know if it's asphalt versus more just oiled and packed.
It looks like gravel? Is it like a
It's
hard
not-
limestone?
Do you call it hard top?
Hard
I
cut?
don't know what you call it.
Hard cut, according to Mark. I think I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
But further down Knowles, that's not the case? Where does it start?
So if we're looking at the map that the
Yeah.
city assessor provided,
Right.
I think it's right here.
It's past the church.
Yeah.
Just past the church.
Just past the church. So I think if you looked in Google Maps, you'd probably find that the paving starts from about here in this direction. It's
Just this
paved,
way?
and this is all hard cut down there.
Okay. Thank you. All right, thank you.
Are you the owner of 855?
I am.
And then, so then back to the subdivision. When was that subdivision?
I think it was effective 2016.
16. And for what purpose did you actually subdivide the land?
Just for future, I don't know. Like, I don't have a plan to sell them. I just thought that if one day I ever wanted to sell my house, then I wasn't going to let the land go with the house. So that's why I subdivided.
Oh, okay.
For options. Maybe I live in the country right now, so maybe I would take one of those lots and build later on in life.
Somebody else?
I just wanted to have options.
So you sold off 855?
No, I still own
you-
855.
You own it but don't live there.
Correct.
You subdivided
Two off of it.
simply for the option of, in
To
the
have
future,
options.
possibly
Correct.
selling the lot.
Or to build maybe a smaller home when I get older and want to have a place to retire to. Just,
All right. That's all my questions. Thank you very much.
Does she need to read 851 into the record?
Yes.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
You want to read that in?
Would you like me just to go over the
Just-
subject property?
Give
Same, right?
give the data, and you can just tell us comps are the same, but you give the file number, roll number, that sort of
Okay.
thing.
Thank you. The subject property is roll number 0400-725-7635. Street address is 851 Knowles Avenue. This is a residential lot in Springfield North, and the comparables are the same as the previous property at 847 Knowles.
Good. Any summation wanted on either side? No?
I think we covered it all.
All right. Well then, thank you very much.
well, thank you very much for your time and your consideration.
No problem. We will give you the order as quickly as we can. We'll come out in the mail as soon as the staff can prepare it and send it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
You too.
You too.
Thanks, Candace.
Thank you.